Listen up, listen up. Today's topic is we have everything that we need within us to become successful. Everything that we need is already within us. Uh, Dear beloved family, friends, people from all over the world, because YouTube is international, we are learning so many different missed signals. When I say missed signals, is that we tend to live in a world now, social media, where we want to get accepted by other people. So we often look to other people's opinions of what we should be doing. Not only do we look to other people for their opinions, but we also tend to look at what we call the quote unquote experts. And those experts may consist of doctors, lawyers, friends, family, teachers, who often do not redirect us back to ourselves, which is where the real power is. Even our religions have us to look in the sky. They have us to look after we die. They tend to have us to look to a priest or a minister who may lay hands on us. Some may speak a word to us. And then we become so reliant on other people and other sources that we have yet to really tap into who we are. So what we want to do today is shed some light on our real power, which the real power is within. You know, years ago, they did medical work on medication. And they took what was called the placebo effect, which means that they delivered medication to two different groups of people. The groups of people that had the medication and believed in the medication on the outside, yeah, they tend to get a little better. But those who believed in the medication and themselves were the ones who were more successful. In fact, they decided to go all the way out and give people what is called a sugar pill. And then the sugar pill is no medicine at all. People just believed in the medicine. And then as they believed in the medicine, what happened is they got the same effect from their belief, even though they hadn't really taken any medicine. So that's how strong our belief in something else can be. What we're trying to do is direct, but that power of healing was really within us all the time. We do that with faith healers. We do that with ads and commercials about this will work. You know, years ago, recently they had something on Billy D. Williams and something he said about his gender and what kind of gender he is. But when you look back at Billy D. Williams, he had this ad called Colt 45. It works every time. And it resonated so deep that I used to see people back in the 80s when I was growing up drinking a lot of Colt 45. And of course, drinking excessively causes you to be drunk. But the fact that we saw more Colt 45 due to Billy D. Williams promoting it tells us that once we see something over and over again and look to it, even though it's outside of us, we will pick that thing up thinking that that thing will work. Now, this is how religion has been. Religion has been that type of go-to. So we go to church. We go to mosque. And we go to a place outside of ourselves to look for answers. But in truth, answers are within. There's a biblical reference that says that the kingdom of God is within us. It's true that this world, no matter what happens, when you check out all of the negatives, oh, the economy is bad, and we believe it, so we start to lose our money and our investments. Oh, things are going on, you're going to get this disease and that disease. But in truth, if we believed that we had everything within to make it, we wouldn't care what's going on the outside. We know we have the strength and the determination on the inside. Now, one of my greatest figures in history is Muhammad Ali. Muhammad Ali in his prime was a good example of a black man that came up from Louisiana from a very rough circumstance. And because he believed in himself, as you know, he joined the Nation of Islam. He learned about himself. He became strong about his people, believed that actually God was within. And so when reporters, even whether he didn't have the highest level of education, he just had a firm, strong belief that he could deal with circumstances and knock anybody out. And when they took his title from him because he would not go to the war of Vietnam, he gladly went to jail and came back out and once again claimed the championship of the world championship of boxing to become the greatest fighter, not because he was the greatest at knocking people out, but because his determination and his will could not be stopped no matter what people did on the outside. We make a lot of excuses. And I'm going to say this as an oppressed people, black people, we tend to blame white folks most for why we are where we are. But nobody can really stop us. Once we become internally strong, nobody on the outside can stop us from what we want. We really are self-defeated. And so a lot of our history has to be knowledge of self to empower ourselves and make our internal being stronger than our outside adverse circumstances. So no matter where you come from, now a lot of people that I admire, you look at Jay-Z. Here's a brother that comes from Marcy Projects and grew up like everybody else. But when you hear about people talk about Jay-Z, they said even if he didn't have any money, he would go up to the bar like he was the man. He believed that he could sell platinum over, even though people told him that he couldn't sell platinum albums. Where other people were looking at getting a job, he was thinking about buying the block. How can I invest? How can I make myself financially secure? And now he's a billionaire. He didn't allow his circumstances or what happened to determine his success. Now, in what is called the Reconstruction era, which is an era that I ask all black people to study, it's an era where we could not go to restaurants with white people. We could not go to gas stations. So we had to make our own gas stations outside of the general economy of the United States government and rely on ourselves. And we produced more black millionaires because we were determined, even in America, that we were going to take our power, our economics, and then circulate the dollar in our community. I sat down one day with a brother by the name of Dr. Claude Anderson, who years tried to put together in Detroit an Africa town because he believed that the circulation of dollars in our community was our wealth. But we have to start looking at ourselves as entrepreneurs, as millionaires, that our dollars mean something. And so if you look, he studied the Chinese or not the Asian community, and that their dollar circulated 5 times before it left their community, and they built a lot of millionaires and successful businesses. He looked at the Jewish community and how they circulated the dollars. But then he looked at our community, and because we believed that our power was outside of us and other people's bread was more edible than our own, or producing our own things in our community, then what we did was we took the hard-earned dollar that we spent and gave it to others outside of us, rather than looking at ourselves and saying, look, we need to maximize our economic power and our strength. That shows us that within us is the ability, regardless if we come from poorness or we come from almost a negative circumstance, as long as we build up the fortitude within ourselves, we are strong enough. That comes from a firm knowledge of history. Now, I've learned that God is not outside of us, that the kingdom of God is within, whether we are Muslim or Christian or Jew or Hebrew, that when we look at the fact that we have that image and likeness and power within us, that we can go within without excuses and then envision what we want and bring it into reality. We spend a lot of time making excuses, but very little time building ourselves up. So I'm going to leave with a couple things that we can do to build ourselves as we strengthen. One is meditation. Meditation and going within and then speaking into existence what are called manifestation techniques, that we speak affirmations within us. So instead of calling on, oh, God, help me. Oh, I'm a wretch. I'm a terrible wretch. Nobody's a wretch like me. Save me. God, help me. I am nobody. Instead of doing that, go within and say, I'm strong. Biblically, there's a verse that says, wherever I'm weak, let the weak say, I am strong. That's an affirmation. I am strength. I am powerful. God is within me. The God is within me. The kingdom is within me. And I have all that I need to make it. No matter what happens, I have strength. I am strong. I am powerful. These are called I am affirmations that you can do 5 to 20 minutes each day to build yourself up. They work. I am successful. I am abundant. I am abundance. I am joy. I am unique. I am this or I am that. And once you start to put this in your subconscious mind, it starts to take root. It starts to move you. Now, hypnotism, it works for people because there's what's called the subconscious mind. Years ago, Coca-Cola did this during movies in the 30s and 40s when they wanted people to drink Coca-Cola. They knew that movies had been actual splices in between, and they would drop subliminal messages, drink Coke. Coke is it. And pretty soon, people would want to run to the concession stand, and they would go and get Coca-Cola. This means if you keep dropping jewels in your subconscious mind, pretty soon, you're going to start acting them out. So if you keep dropping, I'm strong, I am successful, I am abundant, I am rich, I am worthy, and you keep dropping that within, God is within, the kingdom is within, you will build yourself up no matter what happens. You may lose your job, but because you're strong, now comes an idea that you could market your gifts and talents and go out there and be so strong in presence that others will buy your talent, your gift, your time, your product. It works. So I leave you. That's one thing that you can do. The second thing that you can do is not only meditation and affirmations, but the second thing that you can do is to keep a journal, what I call a belief journal. Instead of writing down weak things about yourself, keep a journal of all things powerful that you know about yourself. And time out, when you write it and your hand kinesthetically touches a pad, you begin to feel connected to those things that you say. Never say, I remember Reverend Ike saying, never say anything negative about yourself. Never say, oh, I always forget. Oh, I'm so weak at this. I tend to always mess up in life. Never use negative language. So that's the second thing. You journal and never use negative language about yourself. The last thing is, begin now to take up everything that you are good at and begin to do those things that you love to do, that you know you're good at and masterful at. Do those things on a daily basis. I make these YouTube programs because I know I speak well, I'm inspirational. So every day when I finish my YouTube upload, I know that this makes me empowered and strong so that others can go out and draw from my words. So remember that. Meditation, positive affirmations. Never say anything about yourself that is of weakness. Do not use that language as it pertains to yourself. Do not let other people speak to you like that and say things about you like that, and you accept it. And that's the second thing. And the third thing is begin to do activities every day that you are superior than others about, and strengthen yourself and believe in yourself. Peace, dear family. I hope you've received something about this. Remember that stress, lastly, is the biggest issue that can tear up and tear down your progress and success. And stress is not something that you pick up on the outside. Stress is your response to an outside world. So if you can respond through affirmations when something comes into your life and say, I'm strong. Even if there's no evidence, I'm strong, I'm powerful, I'm successful. And those things will tend to combat everything that you think is coming from without and weakening you. You combat them with strength, with belief in yourself. Thank you and peace. Thank you for listening. Listen up, listen up.